Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Spiritual Journey podcast. My name is Nimish Radia and I'm your host. I always love starting every episode by saying thank you. I feel so blessed with this space, having an opportunity to use our voices, to channel whatever information we need, whatever that we feel we need is for this collective. And, with the message we receive on a weekly basis, it's clearly finding people when they need it most. We regularly get messages about people finding this podcast when they need it most, and how people feel that we're talking directly to them. And this is why we do it, right? I mean, I started this podcast as a passion project with maybe an episode a month. Now we release 2 a week, and nothing scripted, nothing edited, nothing is edited. It's raw, and whatever comes through comes through. So thank you if you're a regular listener. Welcome back. If you're new to this podcast, welcome. Let us know if you have any feedback. Feedback's always a blessing. And, if anything resonates with this podcast, please do like and share. It really does help. Comment. That just means that more people will find it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I am an Akashic record reader, Akashic trainer, podcast host, podcast creator, as well as a spiritual coach and mentor. What I get to do is I guide people on their journey. I guide people to help them to understand who they are. I get you to understand why you're here. We're going through such a shift on the planet. And I feel like in many ways we're all going through some sort of identity crisis, and everything has meaning, and I guide people to truly understand your purpose in this life, how you're going to shine your light, what does that look differently. Do that through a beautiful mentorship program that means they channel through the Akashic records. It gives a framework for us to go through, working through your four bodies. But I always say the framework is there for the human. Each session is channeled, and we love doing it. I love doing it. It's one of my favorite things to do, working with people one-to-one. Now's a beautiful time. I feel like, we've just gone through the spring equinox. I have a beautiful offer right now where I'm including Akashic training in the mentorship program. And prices are going to go up in April too. So reach out. If you book a discovery call now, you can take advantage of the promo. But I love this space. I love being on this podcast and sharing my truth. And podcast wouldn't be where it is today. I wouldn't be where I am today without my beautiful co-host introducing the amazing, the stunning, the healer extraordinaire and published author, Stacey Brown. Stace, how are you? I've got to do the intro, Things won't be the same without it.
Thanks, buddy. It's good to be here, friends. My name is Stacey. I'm an intuitive. I do readings for people from all around the world. I'm also an Akashic record reader and a spiritual coach and mentor. I'm also a certified Reiki practitioner and a published author. My book, Journey to Soul Center, Discovering the Gift of Surrender, is available on Amazon and Audible. And just to give everybody a little update, I am seeing people still virtually. So all of my healing services are still available. But in addition to that, I am now seeing people in person, part-time in a salon locally in Maryland. So if you're looking to experience Reiki, please reach out. It's something I absolutely am passionate about helping people do, in addition to the work that Nimesh and I do, which is also super powerful. It's been amazing to see the transformation of so many clients that we've had over the years, and to know that we've been able to make an impact in the way that we have. And so if you're feeling lost right now, or you're in a season of change and shift, and you're not sure how to handle it, reach out to us. We do a free discovery call, and we're here to help you on your journey. And I feel confident that the work that we do is life-changing. So I'm excited to get into this episode today with you, Nims. How are you doing?
I'm good so much. You just made me think about, the shifts that we've taken our clients through, and then there's part of me is like, maybe we should do an episode where we just talk about the shifts. And I was like, some of the shifts actually might scare people. It's like, we've had people, change careers, leave what they're doing. We've had, quite a few people leave relationships, right? start different things, and it's interesting, right? It's I feel like when people start working with us, it feels very much accelerated. But I also feel like people have done the pre-work, and it's like it's a soul contract. Um, but yeah, some of the shifts are just amazing, and I feel so blessed with it. But also, some of it's pretty intense. So but yeah, maybe that's a future episode for sure. So I always say that we pick every episode by just how we're feeling with current energy and kind of what are we feeling inside and around us, and certainly with the joint episode with guests. Actually, we don't even pick a title. We like normally just jump in, but whatever comes through. But today we're going to dive deep into holding space, specifically holding space without losing yourself. And the reason this topic again is important is I feel like we're all going through a shift, and we all have a role to play in guiding others and holding space for other people. And a lot of people say, "I'm holding space. I'm holding space." What does that really mean? Um, for what we do as mentors and stuff, a lot of what we do is hold space. And for me, holding space is allowing people to be who they're meant to be, not jumping in, um, but using my intuition to guide, to nudge. Um, a lot of the time people think of holding space is, either letting people, share their story or going to go emotional with it, or jumping in sticks. Um, I'll always say to people, and this is something that goes back to Sidra, my mentor, my friend who's no longer with us. She would used to say, your story doesn't interest me. And it kind of like, it used to shock people because she'd be in a 30-minute session and she'd be like, somebody would be really emotional and she'd stop them and say, look, your story doesn't interest me. And I always wonder, what does that mean? That's part of it. Holding space isn't allowing somebody to trauma. Holding space is really challenging people with open questions and allowing them to go, guiding them through it. It's like, it's never about your story. It's about what you do with your story. It's not about carrying somebody through whatever they're going through, because I always say pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. So we're not here to stop pain. So holding space is a skill, and actually it's quite a difficult. Now, when we do phase 2 of mentoring, which is really guiding people to become a spiritual mentor, holding and guiding people to hold space for others is a big part of it, because, as I said, everybody's going through something emotional. If you have somebody in front of you that's sharing something emotional, it's easy to want to jump into it. It's easy to get lost in their story and almost to validate that they're going through something. Right? But my question is that really helpful? Whereas, if somebody's sharing their story and you change it, what does that mean to you? What are you learning from this experience? Changing the question and allowing people to be and maybe even allowing for uncomfortable silence is really powerful. But it is a skill that takes to be nurtured. So, let me ask you as we begin, what do you like holding space? Do you jump into it? Do you get lost in the story? Do you get lost in, kind of carrying people, wanting to? Stacey, let me ask you, how do you feel about it? What does it mean to you, and do you struggle with it?
I have found holding space for people has been something that's come to me very naturally in the mentoring process, in guiding people. I enjoy giving people a space to be who they are. And I absolutely love the vulnerability that comes with that. So I feel like there's so much power in being able to hold space for people. I think, we were talking as we were getting ready to start this episode, and I was saying, I think sometimes what's hard for me is finding the balance between holding space for other people and holding space for myself. And I can get lost in other people's journeys. And, yet I have a hard time making space for myself. And I'm finding that to be more of the challenge right now.
Because it's interesting, right? When somebody when somebody signs up for mentoring, and it's like it is different than in your personal space, right? Because you feel that responsibility. It's almost like you bring your A game to it, right? Because there's a deeper responsibility, and it's like, um, but it's interesting. It's like when you become, when you go on this spiritual journey and you realize, you're a natural empath. There is a part of you that, you know, takes on other people's energy and emotion, and you start to get lost in other people's story, and this is the balance, right, of using your natural intuitive ability. And it's like, for me, holding spaces when I'm working with somebody, um I almost step out of the situation, if that makes sense. I'm almost It's important for me to stay grounded and not get um emotionally engaged into the story. So active listening, really listening to and feeling the energy of what the other person's saying without getting too emotionally engaged. Because if somebody's crying in front of you, it's hard not to want to fix them and jump in. But that is a skill. And Stace says it's something that comes naturally to her, and I feel like it comes naturally to her because she's been doing it for a while. And I think it's something we 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 shouldn't take for granted, right? It is a skill that takes time, and we've nurtured it for a few years now. But Stacey raises another valid point, right? It's there is a responsibility we have when we're holding space for others to make sure that we hold space for ourselves. Um, and that in itself is a challenge, right? And because, as I said, as people sign up for mentoring and other things, there is a responsibility. But does that responsibility mean you lose yourself? When you want to go out your way to help other people, does you lose yourself somewhere in that mix? And again, it's just like, look, we're a soul having a human experience. So us having the human experience and showing up for ourselves is important. There's a balance. I love what I get to do. But actually, if I lose myself in the mix, am I really helping those around me? What example am I setting? It's a really difficult balance. And Stacey, I asked you this question before, and you asked me if I could ask you live. I mean, how do you cope? I know you're going through another shift, right? And we laugh about it because I feel like you've been going through these massive shifts ever since I've met you. Like, you're a real example of when the planet's going through a shift like it has since I've met you. You're constantly having to shift and change, and it's interesting watching from the outside. And you know, um, it's really interesting actually holding space too. I mean, I'm just like you said. I feel like I'm really good at holding space, but sometimes there's with people when they're going through a constant shift, I'm like, I really want to help you, but I don't know how I can in any more than I'm doing. And it's an interesting journey to watch you and the shift that you go through. So tell me, how do you find balance when you're going through a shift yourself and you're guiding other people to go through the shift?
I think it can be so challenging as empaths to navigate holding space for other people and going through our own shifts. And I would say it takes every bit of effort for me to show up. But once I show up, it comes to me naturally to put my stuff aside to help others. And it makes me feel better when I'm in service to others. And I think this is a reminder to our listeners and to me that when we get lost in our own stuff, sometimes it does help to serve other people and to put ourselves in that space of helping and stepping outside of our own stuff. And so for me, it's been powerful to do that. It's been challenging to switch gears. I'm going through yet another shift, and I swear, like I it's so hard to share my journey so openly. And I know that our audience is growing and expanding, and I'm watching what's happening. And every step of the way, I've had to be so open about my journey. And so I'm facing another shift. I'm moving. Um, I was in a temporary living situation while I was waiting for my visa. And I knew it was temporary, but I didn't expect to be looking for a place and moving so quickly. And so I'm facing yet another change, another shift. And I am working really hard on trying to hold space for myself while holding space for other people. And I think that for me right now is the challenge, Nims, because I have moments where I get so lost in the emotion of what I'm going through that I think to myself, how am I going to hold space for anyone else? And then I snap out of it, right? And I serve and I help people and I do what is being called of me. And then I go through the same cycle again. So right now, my empathic heart is like completely maxed out. You know, like I ask myself, like, how much more can I handle? And yet I keep on going. And I'm still helping people in the same way that I have been. And I feel like maybe I'm going through all of these changes so that I can relate more to a variety of people and their life experiences. I mean, my gosh, I've experienced so much in my life. And here we are shifting and changing again. It's it's overwhelming right now, buddy.
I know, I know. We talk about this all the time. It's that, but it's also, as you said, you're in a temporary environment, and you know, was that environment going to help you to create what you're here to create? And sometimes it's taking a step back and asking, is the universe helping me? And it may feel like chaos, and I feel like a lot of people are going to be able to relate. So right now, everything feeling like chaotic because the planet is going through such a shift, and I feel like a lot of us are going through that shift too. And like I said, Stacey, ever since I've known you, you've been in a, you've shared vulnerably. You've shared so vulnerably on this podcast, kind of been healing both of us on that journey. And but you raised some valid points. It's easy to get lost in other people's stories. It's easy to get lost in helping other people and losing ourselves along the way. And I come back to the point where balance, I feel, is really important. Um, it's really powerful what we get to do, kind of guiding and helping other people. And it certainly raises my vibration and helps me if I'm going through something difficult. But it's also quite easy to kind of get lost in trying to fix everybody else and losing yourself along the way and just The only way you realize if you got balance is by challenging yourself and asking yourself some powerful questions in terms of, you know, how present am I in my journey? You know, what am I running away from? And you know, am I trying to fix things? Am I trying to run away from who I am? And you know, if guiding and holding space for other people lifts you up vibrationally and it kind of helps you, then 100% do it. But then, as long as you're not losing yourself in that, as long as you've got balance, and you know, the interesting question, we did a whole episode on this, is, you know, are you always being the strong one? And I feel like a lot of people that are on this spiritual journey are usually the ones that sure end up being the strong one in a relationship, the ones that always kind of show up and help other people. You have that kind of reputation. Um, you know, when you talk about holding space, sometimes it feels so much easier to fix things rather than being present. So again, the question to your listeners is, when you are helping people, as we just called it, how much of it are you fixing, and how much of it are you actually holding space and allowing people to themselves? Because for me, holding space is really allowing people, guiding people to to be aware of who they are, rather than telling them. Because, you know, sometimes it's easy to tell them, but when you tell somebody, you're actually telling them from your frame of reference. So what's right for you may not be right for them. And the sort in Stace was just talking about losing herself in that, you know, kind of, and when you're going through something difficult, does helping others, is that helping you or is that draining you? And this is the thing with all this, there isn't a black and white response. I mean, I'd love to be able to say, well, this and this didn't, so you did. But you listening to yourself, and, you know, when something's overwhelming, taking time for you, whatever that looks like. Um, if you're the one that's always a strong one in a relationship, how open are you to allowing people to help? And again, I'm going to ask Stacey the same question. It's like, when you are struggling, how do you make sure that you don't lose yourself in it? What do you do to make sure you find balance and, um, maybe allow the people, what does that mean? How are you allowing people to hold your space, Dave?
I am absolutely allowing people to help me. I'm very clear that I can't do this all alone, specifically the move. And I have friends who are rallying around me to the best of their ability to be there for me through this transition. And I'm leaning into that. I recognize that I can't carry this all alone. And the help is there. And so I think when help is offered, it's really important to be humble enough to accept it. You know, and there's something else that I was thinking about when you were speaking earlier, but I didn't want to cut you off. And that was about the holding space for people. And I am currently rereading my book in a book club on Clubhouse. And I'm reading about my son and his challenges that he faced. And for those who are new to the podcast, almost 7 years ago, my 17-year-old son was struggling with mental health and substance abuse issues. He overdosed in our home, and then 4 months later, he attempted to take his own life by running his car into a tree at 100 miles an hour. And I was, after rereading what I was writing and the experience, I recognized that I wasn't holding space for my son. I was trying to control. I was trying to control the outcome. I was trying to control the circumstances. I was trying my hardest to control something that was beyond me. And it led to a lot of additional pain and frustration. And so for me, I recognized during that time that that's when it really broke me open to holding space for people, because I had never done that before in that way. I had always tried to control the outcome. And I recognized with my son that it was something bigger than me, and that it had to run its course in the way that it did for his highest good. And now I find it to be a lot easier to hold space for people because I understand on such a significant level the difference. And it's been a huge life lesson for me, because I'm not in charge of other people's decisions. But when I hold space for them, I give them the opportunity to make the decision themselves and to listen to their own intuition. And ultimately, I believe that's what we're meant to do, is to trust ourselves, to learn to trust ourselves. And I get to help people navigate through that. And I feel like at the same time, the universe is giving me the exact same lessons that it's giving our listeners.
Wow, so much to unpack this day. Thank you again for being so vulnerable. And it's just, one of the things that comes to mind is, we're not here to fix it. And it is so easy to want to do that, right? But the way I think about it is, who am I to tell the board? And everyone's on the unique journey. I haven't got it all worked out. I'm still mentoring people. I'm still got work to do. And but it's like when you feel like you know what's best for somebody, um, you want to jump in and help. Or are you really helping? And especially if you've got kids, right? That's a really difficult one. It's because you want to do better, and but I feel like the role of a parent in this world is allowing them to be themselves but still having boundaries, right? Um, and it's interesting what you said, Stacey, because I do feel like people that are here on the planet right now have chosen a challenging life, right? And I feel like I'd always say, whatever we've been through in our life is teaching us something, is training us. And I feel like everyone that's, kind of on a painful existence is for three reasons. One is to release the karma, release the personal ancestral karma we brought into this world. Two is, our soul wants to expand and experience things in different ways, and that's part of it. But three is, what if everything we've been through is training us for whatever's coming next? The Stace talked about the journey with her son, and actually how it's helped her to really kind of recognize the importance of holding space. And now it's relatively easy for her, but she recognized that part of that journey was training her for this, right? She's become, if you haven't read her book, I would highly recommend it. It's just because it is a story of how turning pain into purpose. But it's easy to say that, right? It's still a painful journey, and Stace, talked about in her book. And Clubhouse, you mentioned, is an audio app that that's how we met, right? We met in 2020 on the app, and when we were all in lockdown, we couldn't see anybody, so we found this app where we talk. So again, please remind me. I think that your room is on Monday night. So yeah, Stacey has a room in Clubhouse on Monday night where she's reading a book, and Stacey, when I've been there in the process of creating the book, we recorded it together, we transcribed it, and all that sort of stuff. And she takes people on the journey, but me also means that she relives some of her deepest darkest moments. And it is interesting when you think about when you think about your story, if you listen to this episode, what has it taught you? What have you been through in your life that actually you that Stace talked about the experience with the son, and actually it's helped her to be able to hold space for people, to know that we're not meant to jump in for to fix everything. You know, because I always think about, you know, is it better to give somebody food or help them to farm to make their own food? And that's what I feel we do when you hold space. You're guiding somebody to really understand who they are at deep level, understand the karma you've been here to release, understand how your soul needs to expand, and understand why everything you've been through is maybe teaching you for whatever something next. Because we can all feel a shift on the planet. And what if this shift, what if what you've been through is teaching, is training you for whatever something next? Because you know, we're not here to stop people's pain. We're not here to stop people having their experience. Because I'll always think about, you know, if your soul has contracted pain in this lifetime, it's contracted for a reason, at least karma. So who am I to stop your pain? But here's the thing, right? I always say pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. So what if we're here not to stop people's pain, stop people's experience? But what if our experience and our words and our intuitive abilities help people to maybe not suffer? And I'll give you an experience of how pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. It's a relationship. So maybe sometimes we have a soul contract with somebody to experience love, and sometimes that relationship, that soul contract, actually leads to pain. That's what you contracted, right? You met this soul, fall in love with. The soul contract evolves and changes, and you experience something painful. But when you stay in a situation where the soul contract complete, that's where suffering is. And that's why when you look at your part of holding spaces, ask some of the challenging questions like, you know, what is that soul contract teaching you? Has it taught you everything it's meant to? Asking those open questions about whatever you're going through, what is it teaching you? Because it's about turning your story into not about your story, but more about what are you learning. And you know, Stacey's book is a great example where the universe gave her loads of beautiful experiences, but it was so painful. You know, and you know, I'm going to ask her in a second about how does it feel about, you know, I mean, her son now is thriving, right? And it's just it's interesting, right? He's gone on his own separate journey, and you know, it's harder to hold space. So it's like I'm talking about clients. In many ways, it's easy to hold space for clients than it is for people you in your personal life, people you love. Because we're not here to rescue someone. I know when I started on this healing journey, I got all these abilities. The first thing I wanted to do was fix everybody I love, you know, fix those people that you know, my family. And you know, it's like I couldn't understand. It's like I could see things in people. I'm like, well, hold on, why can't you see it? And it's just like quite quickly I realized I'm not here to fix you. I'm not here to. I can only guide people when they're ready. And also, a lot of the time, your personal people in your life are not assigned you to do the help. You're there to hold space for sure, but not necessarily to guide. And it is difficult when you see somebody you care about in pain. But again, I ask and challenge you, who are you to stop the pain? Stace, again, you know, I put you on the spot quite often, and I invite you to put me on the spot whenever you want, by the way. But how is it holding space for those that care? How is that different to holding space for clients?
I think it's so much harder when you're emotionally invested. I think as an empath, it's challenging either way because you feel people's stuff like it's your own. So you already have that challenge going on. But then you add the emotional attachment to the person, especially like I was talking about my son. You add that attachment, and the situation becomes so much more personal and so much more complex. And I think all of us have the potential to lose ourselves in another person's stuff if we let ourselves. I mean, I lost myself in my son for a period of time. I wasn't holding space. I was trying to carry him, and it really upended my life. It really did. It's interesting to see how much I lost of myself in that and how differently I do things now with my kids. Because my youngest is still just 12, right? But even with her, I am holding space differently and doing things differently than I did before this experience. So it was a huge lesson for me in holding space for people. I really didn't realize it until we started talking today.
Isn't it interesting with this podcast how, when we talk about it, it's healing for us too, so just, if you're listening, know that this is when you don't script things and when you show up, it's just, it's interesting how it brings things up, right? It's just, and, look, if we're honest with ourselves, this human journey sometimes is challenging, and it is easy to lose yourself in it. I know I love what I get to do, helping clients, and I have so much going on right now, but I do, I consciously try and make sure I have balance. I consciously try and, when I've got clients back to back like today, as well as recording the podcast, even if I've got 5 minutes, I'll try and step in the garden and just ground myself, because right now, not losing yourself in this journey, especially when the planet's going through so much and you can feel pain. I'm sure the listeners to this podcast, you feel what the planet's going through. You've been energetically going through some sort of roller coaster over the past months. So it's hard not to lose yourself, right? And, when you kind of know what your purpose is, or you think you know what your purpose is, and I always challenge people, right? What makes us think we only have one purpose? But, when you know the things that excite you, making sure you don't lose yourself in that, and making sure that you're not using that to not do the healing, and holding space for yourself. For me, holding space for me involves time with me, time in meditation, time in being present. When I don't give myself that time, I know there's a part of me missing. So, I guess for me, my biggest recommendation would be checking with yourself, recognizing when you cross from supporting into self-abandonment, because losing you in this journey isn't helpful to anybody. So abandoning yourself and running away from this new version of you isn't helping you or anybody. So, choosing connection without losing your center. Your center, remember, you're a soul having a unique experience. You are important. You're needed and you're wanted in this world. To stay in this journey of the shift that you're going through in this present moment, what are you doing to make sure that you find balance? Where as you kind of holding space for others, you still, as even though you're going through a physical move, house move, you're still holding space for clients and et cetera, et cetera. So how do you make sure that you do find the balance and you don't lose yourself in this journey? What does that mean to you?
So, full transparency, this week, I would say I'm wrestling with it because I'm moving on Saturday. So I feel a bit overwhelmed with everything. But I think because I'm busy with other things and other people and holding space for them, I think it's helped me to find balance, because it's not just all about me. It can't be. I have a responsibility to the people that I've committed to show up for them. And that commitment that I've made matters to me. And so I put my stuff aside and I do what I feel like I'm called to do. And I feel like helping people for me is a lifeline. It really lifts my soul to know that we are transforming people's lives in the way that we are. And so that motivation drives me significantly. And will I be in this same space of somewhat balance in 24 or 48 hours? I don't know. I might come undone for a little bit. But I also know on the other side of it, there's going to be something magical for me. I really feel like I'm being challenged right now for a reason. And I believe on the other side of this move is a better version of me for everyone. And that's motivating me to keep going.
Honestly, I couldn't agree more. And it says hopefully you don't mind me sharing, but in your example, it's like a base chapter. And if your base isn't as solid as it can be, and you're here to create something that's never been created, then the universe may shift things to force you to create a powerful base. And it's from creating that powerful base that allows you to truly find your grounding. So sometimes when your world is in chaos, if you can breathe and really understand that actually the universe is helping you, and it's hard, right? I get it. It's like when everything is in chaos, um, it's hard to be the calm in the storm, right? And what Stace has manifested, to be fair to her, is a powerful group of people around her that support and hold her space. And you know, could she have more? Yeah, probably. Um, are we both working on making sure that we allow people to be there for ourselves, right? It's hard, right, when you're doing what we do to be open to help, right? To use Stacey's example of reach out to people. Right now, I feel like we've been pushed to really look at who's on our inner circle, and as we grow spiritually, sometimes we outgrow people, and holding on to them is also isn't helping anybody, right? And this is the thing: holding space for people, hold space for those that are assigned to you, and sometimes your loved ones aren't assigned to you, and yes, you still need to hold space for them. What does that mean? It means you don't try to fix. Because again, who are you to try to fix everybody? We're still work in progress, and your fix, even though you believe it so deep in you, may not be right for the fix of the people in your love, that you in your world. It's just an interesting when you allow people to grow and become their natural self. You don't know what they're going to create. I mean, if I said to Stace 6-7 years ago, Stace, you know what? You're going to go on this journey where you're going to stop being a hairdresser altogether. You're going to become an amazing healer, and then you're going to go on this journey. And actually, then again, you're going to go back to hairdressing, but actually introduce live Reiki and all that sort of stuff. You would have thought I was on drugs. But she's now become this amazing healer, and it's easier for me to see it from the outside, to see her light. It's just an interesting journey when you let go and trust. It doesn't mean that all of a sudden you're not going to experience painful experiences, because you're a soul having a human experience, and some of that experience involves pain. But there's also magic on the other side, and I know that Stacey being in her own energy and creating space where it's her energy and base, I feel like she's going to create something more. Do I wish that she didn't have to go through it so quickly? Yeah, maybe, but it's an interesting. Stace, as always, thank you for being so vulnerable. And as we get start to close out this episode, I'd love for you to share any final bits of wisdom and any general prompts you may have.
So I really feel like this is about taking a personal inventory and giving yourself the space to evaluate how you're showing up with the people in your life. You know, are you trying to control the outcome? Are you holding space for those that you need to? This is just something to explore and think about and kind of see where you are on the path right now. And if you are trying to control the outcome, what can you do to surrender and make some space for that person or those people to go on their own individual journey? As always, Namesh and I are here to support in any way that we can. We love getting messages from you and hearing your thoughts on these podcast episodes, so please reach out. And if you're needing support, we have a free discovery call. You can visit either one of our websites to find out more. And all of our information will be in the show notes. Nims, thanks for another powerful episode.
Thank you, Stace. And, you know, as we close out this episode, as Stace says, if it touched a part of you, then please do reach out. Send us a DM. And yeah, like, comment, share this episode if it resonates. And be gentle with yourself. You know, we put so much pressure on ourselves in this world, and, you know, kind of, it is an interesting, expansive time. And your answers are inside you, so the more gentle you can, the more you can listen to you and be present. You know, remember, you don't have to carry someone to care about them. You don't have to jump in and fix. The best thing you can do, the most powerful space that you can do is have balance in your world and stay rooted in yourself. Be grounded. Be who you're meant to be. That's what the universe is asking you right now. Not to jump in and fix it. And as Stace says, there's so much that we offer to guide and help. We have a full moon webinar coming up on April the 1st. I include the link in the show notes. It's free. You get to experience what me and Stace do in a different sort of way. So it's a 90-minute session. It's on April the 1st, which is a full moon time. You can be on screen. You don't have to be. The only part of it we record is a meditation that I do, and both me and Stace open the Akashic records, and we take you on a journey. So that's free. It's on Zoom. It's different than being on the podcast. So do reach out. So much other stuff. I have a membership. We talked about mentorship. I have an event coming up. I have Stace has a Facebook group for women. There's so much. As Stace says, look at our website. It's our names. DM us on social media. Reach out. Book a free discovery call. We love what we get to do, and you know, kind of you guys reaching out to us, connecting with us, just allowing us to connect with you in that sort of way, lift our souls too. So sending everyone so much love and light. You know, we've just been through spring equinox. We're now in Aries season. There's so much shifting. The more that you can be present in your energy and realize who you are and the power of who you are, the more that you can experience this journey with ease and grace. So I'm sending everyone so much love and light. Stace, again, thank you for being so vulnerable. It's your superpower. And I know you cringe at it, but I feel like you've guided so many people with your vulnerability. So thank you for being you. Sending you so much love and light. Wishing you the best of luck in your move. Sorry I can't be there physically with you, but you know I'll be there with you emotionally and spiritually. And sending you so much love and light, and so is everyone else that's listening. Thank you, everybody. We will be back soon. Bye for now.